Hello and welcome back to Marcelian Online. We're looking at Season 3 of Mythic Plus. Only Mythic Plus, not the break. We're talking about Mythic Plus 11.2. It's going to be the greatest season ever, no doubt. There's a lot of things happening over there, and we have to go through it until we start some proper testing, I would say.
Yeah, it's a few days. We're going to test, but there's a lot of stuff that's been announced that we have been asking for, not just we, but like the entire community, and I cannot believe that they're actually doing it.
I think like philosophically, they're going even further with like making Mythic Plus, I dare to say, accessible.
Yes.
And I know a lot of people kind of lost their minds when they saw some of the dungeons from the dungeon poll.
I mean, they voted. You guys voted for it. We voted for it
I believe a lot of people said in the forum post or whatever, like, yeah, I'm going to troll everybody and just vote for Dawnbreaker and Arak-Arak and shit like that. So people were trolling that.
And then,
this is what we have.
This is what democracy gets you.
Okay, but should we open the first wound regarding the dungeons?
Let's go.
We feel that they're like, oh my god, we had so much pain. There's so many avenues we can go for regarding this.
Sure.
First of all, Arak-Arak and Dawnbreaker. Okay, so there were a lot of people played Arak-Arak because of the trinket, obviously.
Sure.
And it was, I would say, maybe one of the least favorite dungeons in Season 1. On pack with Dawnbreaker as well. Now, we are talking about Season 1, which was very different than Season 2, which will be very different than the new season, Season 3 coming along.
What is that? So what does that mean? If you remember, if you've played Season 1, you remember the intensity of the mechanics, the cast, how punishing everything was, and their entire philosophy was revolved around making tanks and healers feel like they're more impactful. And the only way to make them feel like they're impactful when you have defensives that reduce 60% of your damage you take is to kill people every time. So that was basically the theme. And of course, when we moved to Season 2, all of that was toned down. Fewer casts.
Less punishing. You still had a lot of situations where you would just die with any defensive up, but we're talking a lot more into the higher range of the keys or mid-high range of the keys. Season 1 dungeons, specifically Arak-Arak and Dawnbreaker, were deadly and not fun because of how the whole system of Mythic Plus was designed back then. And I do believe a lot of people, I think, let's say, kind of like the worst Mythic Plus season in a long time, I would say. And now we're looking at these dungeons, and we have to take into account the fact that at least what we know that they introduced in Season 2, better visuals for mechanics. That was a big problem. Longer cast times for different casts that would otherwise be impossible to control, right? I would dare to say, like, even maybe less mechanics.
Oh, fewer mechanics. Well, that's definitely something that they confirmed in the WoW cast. No, was it in a WoW cast or an interview?
Maybe our interview.
I think it was in our interview. I'm getting them all confused. So they actually confirmed that, they're going to tone down the cast as well in overall mechanics to bring the Season 1 dungeons and align them with Season 3. And also the Season 2 dungeons are addressed. And I wanted to say this. There was, I think it's Kess Live, the Twitter account. I think this person is playing super high-end Evoker, rank 1, rank 2 Evoker, Lizzie McGuire. And him and his party tested out Priory, and the first boss already got changed, where now you can see in the screenshot that he posted out that now it leaves puddles on the ground. So because the boss was a little bit simpler for everybody except the tank. This was a tank busser boss with a very long bleed, and the bleed has been toned down. And now you have a couple of extra mechanics to get you engaged with the fight and not just have to like plant your feet and just do that boss.
It was a very static fight, and it was the most
very different from the rest of the dungeon.
Yeah, and that's a good sign. But this is like one of the dungeons that is
just as an example,
a recent dungeon. Yeah, like I understand why people hated the fact that they put in Dawnbreaker and Arak-Arak, but I strongly believe these dungeons on their core, they're actually fun dungeons, especially Dawnbreaker. I always loved the concept of it and the whole moving around and how you go from place to place. Sure, there was a lot of problems with it, but again, in Season 1, I feel, I'm not convinced, but they have this huge opportunity to make these dungeons very enjoyable.
It's an opportunity, or it can backfire. But this is you made a really good point. This is the last season we're gonna have before midnight. So we're not going to have a Fated or Awakened season or whatever you want to call it. So these will be the last dungeons you will be doing as part of a dungeon season pool in the War Within. And Dawnbreaker is maybe one of the most unique ones because there's a lot of stuff that you don't normally do in a dungeon. I understand that some people just want it to be predictable and consistent, but flying around and chasing the boss and doing stuff, you only get to do that once, right? Why not just make it it a cool, fun experience. And obviously, hopefully that they fix a lot of stuff with how sometimes pets get bugged on the ship and how projectiles don't really travel all around, or how you blink in place as a goddamn mage. How many times that happened, I cannot just wrap my head around it.
There was a ton of bugs, but also you have to take into account Dawnbreaker was a very short dungeon, and just having a lot more of the stuff that was happening there streamlined, and also squashing down a lot of the bugs that we were kind of annoyed by in season 1. I feel it's great. So I'm not like mad at all about these 2 dungeons making it in. On the contrary,
they're some of the best ones in the World Within period. But how about them Shadowlands dungeons coming back, baby?
Boy, I am super excited. We talked about this so many times.
Yeah.
Like if one of the good things Shadowlands had for going for itself was a lot of the dungeons being cool and engaging, and yet the layout was great, and the mobs and so on and so forth. I'm actually super curious to see how they're going to implement their new philosophy regarding Mythic Plus
so cool,
in these new ones. So obviously we have the Tazavesh, like the 2 Tazaveshes.
Bro, okay, since we're here, I do have to say, I'm not gonna spoil anything for anybody, because I've been on the PTR and done the intro quest with the Tazavesh. Dude, the brokers are cool as fuck, and it's nobody really, like, very few people like Shadowlands, but the fact that they actually tied the brokers with ethereals is so cool, and it brings the best parts of Shadowlands into the retail version.
They did have many good parts. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, Halls of Atonement and Tazavesh, man, it's some of the best dungeons.
Halls of Atonement, one of the best dungeons they ever. I always love that dungeon.
Yeah,
it's like, I'm hoping the pools remain the same, because I always loved that first pool in Halls of Atonement, like when everything was gathered up, and you like,
oh my god,
DPS, you need to wait it patiently for the tank to gather every corner of the first intro in the dungeon, and then everything
explodes, bro. The thing with that is that now DKs don't have Abomination Limb, and there's like 4 casters in those pools unless the dungeon changes. I remember that because I was playing Pro Warrior and I was getting melted by those casts.
It's true, but again, they're gonna have longer casts, they're gonna be fewer casts, so we're looking at this implementation of their new philosophy for M+, being added to Halls of Atonement as well. When they introduced the Tazavesh dungeon, we loved it. Like the theme of it was great. It looked very cool. The bosses were unique.
It's very fresh. It's
fresh indeed. A lot of like cool mechanics.
The last boss though. Last boss. We might still have some footage from Shadowlands that you might see on the screen right now. Dude, the last boss was crazy.
Wait a minute. Which one? Because
the one that shoots the spears and just fires everything. How many deaths, man? How many goddamn deaths were there?
It's gonna be so. For a lot of people, it's gonna be, again, even for us, I believe, it's gonna relearn what we used to know back in Shadowlands, because at one point you do know how to do all of those mechanics, and it's great. But also like the last boss in the first Tazavesh, where you have to like teleport all around to not get hit by those nasty circles that spread around, you know. And it was like you have to go from one portal with one symbol to the other, and it was I find that so refreshing, like coming from like the classical, this is the dungeon boss, I have a couple of frontals, couple of swirlies, we're all good. No, that's some pretty cool and I'll fresh out the box ideas. I'm happy for those to come back. So that's a big win. Like the Tazavesh, Halls of Atonement, the Shadowlands. I still believe there was still a couple more dungeons they could have added from Shadowlands, to be fair, that were really good.
They did add Necrotic Wake Season 1, and they are adding Halls of Atonement now. I'm hoping for the other side, to be fair. But Sanguine Depths, bro, you're not making any friends here, man. You're not making any goddamn friends. But the new dungeon, man, Echo Dome Aldani.
I haven't seen that. I haven't got the chance to test it, so you have to lay it all down. Yeah. What is it like? Is it fast? Is it short? Does it have mechanics?
It's super fast. Okay, so obviously we played it on the PTR, but only on Mythic 0 because Mythic Plus wasn't up there yet. But since this is newly designed, we can probably assume that the Mythic Plus version is going to be very similar to the Mythic 01. We'll have more details on that in the coming days on our stream, twitch.tv/Marcelian&Flame. But the dungeon is cool. It's super short. It's 3 boss dungeon, and it's very open. It's, I mean, you've probably seen how Koresh looks.
I've seen that.
The color palette seems to be very heavy with all those purples and dark blues.
But that white sand,
the sound, the glassy sand.
It gives me some Bastion vibes. That white
Bastion.
sand.
It gives me Voldoon vibes.
When you're out as well, yeah.
I'm not a big. You're better at this with the color theory stuff, but this just makes it so relaxing for the eyes because you could get very tired looking at dark blues and purples all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
And the bosses, dude, there's some gnarly bosses right now. There's the first boss, which is a big fat worm, has a mechanic that just consistently sucks you in for about 10 to 20 seconds. That's gonna be a bitch for casters. I'm sure that's gonna be tuned a little bit. The mobs are also interesting, and you have around the dungeon some pillars where if you channel them, you get a buff for for like 20 seconds. I think it's like a haste buff, kind of like how Zalatath's affixes are in the lower keys, where she buffs you. If you do a thing, you just channel this, and it's like 5 pillars or something that you can do. One thing that I do have to say is that the mobs just have a lot of backstab mechanics, like shadow stab mechanics. They constantly teleport behind you. That's gonna be funky for the casters. But yeah, we'll see how that plays out. This is just like the first impressions.
Well, listen, man, I would be happy for this season to be maybe a bit more melee friendly, because season 2 was kind of anti-melee. You have to admit that.
We'll see.
A lot of stuff,
yeah. Well, I mean, we still have floodgates going into the next season.
I mean, Floodgate and Priory were, at least in our books, great dungeons.
They're probably
Great
better
dungeons.
for.
Nah, I don't think so.
No,
I don't think
there's
so.
the traps
No,
in
but
Priory. Yeah.
generally, like the design and the flow of it, and the option, especially for Floodgate, the many options you have to like route, very cool. And Priory as well. I think like two of the best ever designed dungeons
Priory,
in
a
World of
paladin and a
Warcraft.
priest dungeon, man.
Yeah, now we get a little bit biased here. Regardless, Echodome Aldani. So we still have like time to test it when the Mythic Plus testing is coming out. But so far, you have faith in this dungeon.
Oh, it's a new dungeon. It's not heavy. Doesn't look like it's gonna be annoying. The mechanics are unique. There's some boss swaps. It's all ethereal shenanigans all over the place. It's very fresh. The visuals and the way it looks is really cool. The mobs are kind of what we've seen in Shadowlands a little bit, with some of the little funky mobs there. Because obviously it's an Echo Dome. It's the theme of ethereals. They're just collecting species from all sorts of worlds. But overall, I think it's the fresh version of Tazavesh. It's cool. It's gonna be fun.
Okay, that's very promising. So far, I believe like in terms of like how good this season will be for Mythic Plus, it's from the dungeon pool. It's looking to want to be the best, no doubt. But also the fact that they're putting in the penalty system.
Yes, that's the big thing.
That's interesting. It is a tricky situation to be in, because there's that whole, I don't know if you got all the info in, but they want to put this type of shit where you have like in League where you want to forfeit a match.
Yeah,
it's gonna be similar if you want to leave the dungeon.
Yeah,
and consider
that sounds good. That sounds like one of the best ways to do it, right?
That is good. And well, this is only based on what Drew D'Souza mentioned in the Wowhead interview. It's like, we're not ready to share all of the details, but one of the details is that you're gonna have like, you're not gonna be like permanently banned or something, but you will be marked. So people will see
if you leave without the voting.
Exactly. If you leave just constantly and
but that's perfect, because we've had a similar situation, I believe. Was it in Heroes of the Storm, where they've affected the matchmaking at one point, and if you were a leaver, you had the leaver status, and people could see you're a leaver, and then you might not want to party with that. And if you were a leaver, you could only queue in games with other levers. Yeah. So it might just pull you into a section of like degenerates, like this is where you belong, motherfucker.
Everybody just leaves.
Yeah, but the voting thing feels very nice. Instead of having to restrict players from engaging with the content in any way, that might be a little bit too harsh. Although they still have that for like PvP and battlegrounds and arenas and stuff. So I don't, and I think you still have it for PvE when you queue for LFRs and heroic dungeons. If you leave, you get the lever debuff as well. So. But the vote is fine. Obviously, the first thing that people think might be thinking at the very least is like, what if somebody trolls and then we all want to leave, but this one guy keeps us in or whatever.
That's it. There's a lot of double edges on this system, so we're probably going to see its first version soon on the PTR, and then they're going to iterate on it a lot. I feel, because if they're not going to do it properly, it's going to be a whole mess. It's going to open up different kind of worms altogether.
Yeah, for sure.
One thing that kind of holds me back onto saying this will be the greatest Mythic Plus season ever is the fact that they haven't mentioned anything regarding crests and all of that system. I want that shit. Either
you want unkept crest, right? Is that what you're saying?
I want that system gone or replaced some way. It's so convoluted. I know we said this a bunch of times, but I was really hoping this time around they would address it in some way or capacity. Okay, maybe it's too harsh to say I want it gone, but something to replace it, much more clear and not so convoluted and not so gated. I think the gating is what bugs me the most. And I still feel if people are super excited to try out 11.2 after they haven't played maybe at all in War Within, they're gonna come into the game and will not know how the fuck this will work.
So I think I have the fairest take on the crests possible. As much as I dislike the system, it does fix almost all of the issues that we had with gearing prior to the crests being introduced. It just does it in a very roundabout and annoying way, and I'm pretty sure they know it. They will probably not mention it publicly because there's this whole mentality of like we like where this is, but we could improve it. Like this has been like a consistent response to a lot of the criticism, which is code for it's not good for new players, and obviously the game is veering towards a direction where they want to make it more accessible for new players. The one-button rotational system is one example. Their war on add-ons is another example, right? So obviously it's not going to stay.
How about the war on a million different goddamn currencies? How about that, huh?
Oh my God, so many currencies. Yeah, I don't...
That, and also, there's another thing. The fact that if you just enjoy Mythic Plus and you cannot have access to like Mythic track gear, still a problem. I mean, I'm not saying, Mythic Plus players should have an equal toe as Mythic Raid players would. I'm just saying find a solution that you don't feel punished or less looked at if you're just enjoying Mythic Plus.
You know what could happen, and I think they're setting they are essentially setting their stones for this type of system to be implemented into the game, which is the new tier set. The new tier sets, we actually now have tier sets that are associated with the hero talent. So if you change your hero talents, your tier set changes.
Yeah,
this essentially means that we have, first of all, double the number of tier set bonuses for each individual spec. Some of them may overlap with the other spec that shares your own hero talent, which is fine. But what this also means is that if something happens in your game, your bonuses change. So we could have this for dungeons. If you are loading in a 5-man content instance game, your tier set bonus change. So they could use this system.
That's very copium.
They could use this to change into a bonus that's just stronger in Mythic Plus, irregardless of your eye level. So it could change it so that eye level isn't necessarily what you want in Mythic Plus, like Myth Track gear, but is the actual bonus. Now, of course, whether they do it or not, or whether they see this as a solution or not, it depends on them, of course. But I'm pretty sure that they are aware of the Valor Stones and their 5 types of crests and how they each come. And it's like everybody has been saying that the Dragonflight last season Awakening was the best when you just looted an item and had like 12 upgrade tracks. Yep. It was Awakened and that's it. It was not no veteran, champion, hero, myth track bullshit. Beautiful. It was just like one all the way to the top. Yeah. And you can just take that and gate it. You cannot get the 10 to 12 ranks unless you cleared all plus 12s or whatever, right? You can do something like that.
That's a healthy gate to have. But regardless, we're curious to see what you think about the new season that is coming in Mythic Plus. So be sure to let us know in the comments. And if anything is very interesting or upvoted, maybe it will be featured on the next video on this series right here.
We had to tackle these new ones first because
it's a lot of new stuff, so we have to talk about a lot of the things. But hey, put your thoughts in the comments. Don't be shy. We look at all of them. If we don't have the time to reply to all of them, and we'll make sure to feature it if it's voted enough or interesting enough in the next video. After this, click on this video right here to check out
the tier set bonuses that we just mentioned, because we have a video that goes over all of them.
Click.